Ladies and gentlemen, very special edition of Ship Chasing tonight. We are, of course, drafting another FFPC main event team, and we got one of our favorites in the saddle with us tonight, none other than RotoViz's Shawn Siegele, one of our favorite annual traditions, drafting in the main. With Shawn, it's me, it's Pat, it's Shawn. We're drafting from the 104. Let's have ourselves a night.
Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your sight.
Jamar Alpha Play Chase.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally piss boys. You're right.
All right, there it is, getting a smirk from Shawn with his closing line immortalized in the intro. We'll see if we're going to turn into piss boys tonight or not. Shawn, Pat, how you doing?
Doing good. Shawn, how you doing?
Awesome, Pat. How about you? It always cracks me up, not just the segment there, but also the background I have. Obviously, I'm always trying to take it up a notch by different, inappropriate and weird backgrounds, but boards there were hilarious.
So Shawn is on the ones and twos as far as pulling the trigger on these picks. We start Jamar Chase, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. We are on the clock. Shawn, let's get you talking this out here with the 50 seconds we have remaining.
I think that CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson are both very fun and create more paths in that the early rounds. I mean, they've got some fun running backs, and if you don't take a wide receiver here, you get very running back heavy. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs would have been the one, possible deviation from that. Brock Bowers is the top guy on my list, but I know that you guys have taken a lot. There might be some risks in having 100% Brock Bowers.
I'm good with Bowers, to be honest, if that's your guy, but happy with the receivers as well.
Yeah, let's go the receiver route. Everyone's got to watch us draft a ton of Bowers teams. Let's see what we can cook up with a receiver. Do you guys have a preference on Lamb or Jefferson here?
I also prefer Lamb, so I'm happy with that. Yeah.
There we go. Jefferson back at practice, which alleviates a little bit of that. But Shawn, how do you think about the decision between those wide receivers after Chase?
Well, with Lamb, we've gotten that 400-point season in this type of format, and everything sets up to bounce back in the vicinity of that level. He's got a receiver in George Pickens, who's the ultimate vertical weapon to make it so defenses can't do as much with Lamb. Lamb, the perfect receiver in terms of does everything well, fantastic before the catch, fantastic after the catch. And I mean, they're not going to be able to run the ball. So you're going to have to throw and you're going to have to chase. And I mean, this sets up for another just top scoring season from Lamb. Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in football, probably next year he's set back up. And I do think that with the suspension there, that Jefferson, if McCarthy is going, could get off to one of these fast starts where he's averaging, 25, 26, 27 points per game before Addison is back. And it feels like, he should have been the guy. But Liam is both safer and offers us more paths.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun selection there. Some people in the chat surprised about passing on Bowers, although I will give a little tease. Today, I was putting together the finishing touches on the annual Truth Serum video, which both of you guys submitted for. And Shawn's Truth Serum take definitely surprised me. And let's just say it dovetails with passing on Brock Bowers. Here. So you're going to have to...
when does that come out?
So I'm all backlogged. Best Ball Bros is going to come out on Monday. True Serum is in the can too. We have 27 submissions this year, 27 Damn. True Serum takes. That should be mid next week, probably about a week from today or so.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So we start CeeDee Lamb here. Shawn, I know you guys over with Ben, you guys have been doing a bunch of main events. I've enjoyed listening to those on the Stealing Bananas feed. What's kind of your just like macro take on, the tight end premium landscape, FFPC drafts right now? How you feeling as we head into the thick of it?
Well, we talked a little bit about this on the draft that you and I did for the Deposit Kingdom, where chaos is basically the order of the day and so many different. I think this is the most fun draft season I can ever remember. right? You have all of the running backs stay healthy last year. That changes things up for everybody. Then you get this amazing class, and that makes it even deeper. I also think wide receiver is deeper and more fun. You have this wide receiver group in sort of the 2 through 3.5-ish range, and then some other sort of veteran receiver groups that aren't that fun. But the late guys are more fun. So you can just do anything that you want. Obviously, it's a fun season to go for extreme upside because, I mean, you're probably not going to get blocked, or you're not going to make the fun picks through 10 rounds and all of a sudden say, well, we don't really have a starting lineup. How are we going to get there? I mean, you're going to have a starting lineup, and then you're going to make fun picks in the double-digit rounds as well.
Yeah. And I felt that rejuvenation myself just within the past week of drafting with all of these new late round picks specifically coming on the menu, because that was really the tough part for a lot of the summer was after maybe pick 130, 140. It was like, man, I don't really love any of these. And now it's like I have a queue with like 19 players I want to take down the stretch in these drafts, which has just made it so fun. Are you feeling similarly, Pat?
I am. Yeah. I mean, in best ball, especially with these tournaments where you have like, hey, these guys haven't been drafted. I was actually taking a little Chris Rodriguez today because I'm like, I don't know. He's like literally never been drafted in this tournament. If he gets a couple of good weeks, that could set me apart in the playoffs. So, it definitely has been fun. Obviously, you can't call Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara a late round pick anymore because he's going in the single-digit rounds. But yeah, it's been fun.
What do you make of Bill Mania, Shawn? Always at risk of talking about players before they're off the board, but I feel very confident that he is not slipping past anyone in tonight's draft. So what do you think of all the chaos in Washington?
Anybody who has speed and is going to be out there with Jaden Daniels can do some special things. And so, I mean, that was really the piece for our crazy draft the other day, where once we got him basically his normal ADP, after it was clear what was going to happen, you're like, this was the perfect time to do zero RB. Now, as you mentioned, that's not going to work here, but you have the same thing that happens every year where the zero RB candidates, they look fantastic and they're spread out. And then right as you start drafting, everybody is compressed into like 9 through 12. You only get one pick in each round. There are still some interesting wide receivers. So it gets a little more difficult, but I mean, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the compression. Pat and I always feel that over the years when we would draft in Vegas that weekend. It's just like, holy cow. And pulling off zero RB, that final weekend of drafts always seems so tough because it's like, yeah, I have a list of, maybe 15 names that Shawn wrote up that I'd like to take. And they all go, within a span of 2.5 rounds or whatever. So we are entering that crunch time here. We're about to pick in the second round. Since we picked, it went Barkley. Bowers did go off at 6. CMC, Jefferson, Nico, Trey McBride goes at 10. Neighbors 11. The turn goes Gene T and Thomas. Then Chase Brown comes off the board. Drake London, Amon-Ra Puka, 7 hole up, grabs Derrick Henry. And we are 2 picks away. What are you guys thinking through here?
Well, I like the running backs. And I like potentially, taking a couple. But we're going to get a good pick here. It's that round 3 coming back around that is always really flat. Now that we have a little more information, could potentially be even flatter unless you want to go with extremely exciting. And there are guys in the mid-4th who are not going to make it back, but, would be fun 304 picks. Not pushing that, obviously, because I'm going to have some drafts in that 9, 10, 11, 12 range. It doesn't necessarily make sense to go crazy there, but that is the fun one. Bucky would have been obviously one of the options.
Bucky,
didn't really expect him to get any farther.
Yeah.
I was waiting there to see if you would bring up Bucky, because that's who I would have been wanting here at running back. But obviously he goes. So, I mean, there are some other interesting names for sure, though, at running back. I like the receivers too here. But yeah.
What do you
guys?
Let's see if he falls here, Shawn. How are you reading the news about Achane's injury? There's obviously the quotes about it. They're saying it's preventative. Is it worrisome to you? Are you holding firm in your rank? Because I know you were very high on Achane, at least pre-injury.
I guess it's not the injury that I find as disconcerting, although he's a small guy and he's been hurt before. It's not like it doesn't matter. But it's more Tyreek Hill, how crazy he continues to be, what the kind of cascade effects would be for the offense if he is a mess, and just the chance that this team utterly collapses and even gets a coach fired. And if that happens, I think Achane's value goes away. That said, beyond kind of that middle of the second tier break, and I think that here, Jonathan Taylor benefiting from the quarterback decision and being, such a big play guy, either of those two, I think, are very exciting picks at this price.
I don't think we have a share of either of those guys, Pat. I like both of them. Do you have a?
I'd probably be Achane here just for this could be a period where he's available to pair with CeeDee Lamb and isn't available to pair with CeeDee Lamb later. I mean, he was going so much higher late first round. And I'm not that worried about the injury. Yeah.
So we do grab Achane there as well. Yeah, I like that. Shawn, I know you are high on Jonathan Taylor as well, and getting that Daniel Jones kind of confirmation is nice. But yeah, I think this is a super fun start getting Achane here. And like Pat said, kind of taking advantage of a combo that could evaporate. Like if we get positive health news tomorrow, then he's never falling to 2.9 again.
You think about all the guys who people were concerned about 2 days ago, and there were reports that maybe they missed the first week and then they're back at practice with weeks to go. And so as soon as you get that, the person skyrockets back up. I mean, he's probably blocked a little bit now with people being so excited about Chase Brown, with Bucky being maybe a similar pick. Maybe he doesn't roar back up, but maybe that's the one shot you get to have it.
So after we pick, we have some quick selections here. AJB, JT, the next two off the board. The turn grabs George Kittle and Ladd. So we are not going to get one of these top three tight ends. T. Higgins comes off the board. We're on deck here. Looking at ADP, you're looking at guys like Kyron, Omarion, Hampton. Allen does go. So Omarion, Hampton, rookie running backs, JSN, elite quarterback. What are you guys thinking?
I think JSN is probably a good pick here, even though there are ceiling concerns, but there's also concentration on him and a secondary breakout. TreyVeon's not going to come back. I mean, he could be the overall, I'm probably not RB1.
I'd be happy to take TreyVeon if you want to do that.
I would love a JSN share. I think that
I'd be fine with JSN too.
What do
you
guys?
This is pretty flat here. I really do think it is. So I'm comfortable with whatever direction you guys want to do.
Yeah, you get your lean here, Shawn, because we've gone a lot of different directions at this spot in our mains. We've done the TreyVeon here. We've done the Omarion Hampton.
We've done Hampton. Yeah, we've not done JSN
here with Ron, which was nice.
Kittle would have been fun for sure.
Yes. We grabbed JSN. I like that. I'm excited to get a share of him, even though this is a pretty flat thing. And you do get, we're pretty half point PPR brained right now. At least I am. Getting that full point here is nice.
Shawn, where are you at on Lamar? Because we have a comment that not picking Lamar is wild. I'm not that. I don't know. I guess in the managed leagues, given the cheaper prices of the other quarterbacks, compared to best ball, the quarterback windows way later and spread out, I've been pretty happy to push quarterback and not go for the elites, where this is about the price you pay for the elites in best ball. Where are you at on Allen and Lamar, the current prices they're at?
I like him from the perspective of, to me, there are more picks sort of in every range of the draft that allow you to potentially hit big in such a way that you go back and you look at it and you're like, my team is so good. I just wish I had that difference making QB and could just plug him in and not have to decide every week. Now, some of that may be residual from how healthy the running back position stayed last year and this false sense of security that you won't need depth. I'm always trying to balance those two things. It depends a lot on, exactly which quarterbacks late and exactly how late you want to push it. When I pass on the elite quarterbacks, sometimes I push it too far. So that's something I always have to watch for, because once I don't have the huge points, I'm just like, I'm going to hit this breakout in the final round after the kicker. And sometimes you do, but there's a little more risk with that.
If we were to go elite quarterback there, would it have been Lamar for you or not?
I think so, because at this point, now that the passing portion of it has also developed and he's got weapons. I mean, Rashad Bateman is one of the weird guys where I guess maybe it just didn't take that much. I was skeptical last season because first round picks who bust don't tend to turn it around. They don't tend to get it going. But obviously he had some injuries. Injuries are also not necessarily good. Usually when injuries sideline a guy, they're just never the same guy. But then you start to see a little bit of what he's doing, especially the second half of the year. And you're like, he is sticking around. He does seem healthy. He's in this offense. If he takes another little step, you put that with all the other pieces that they have. I mean, the Ravens are just going to score so many points. I think he gaps the other guys. The other piece there, though, is that Jaden Daniels could also gap all of them, even without Terry McLaurin. So for me, it's one of those two.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was hoping you would just say Daniels, but I actually agree with you with Jackson, but I know you love Daniels.
Yeah, so we take after JSN, Kyron, then Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson comes. That's pretty rare to see Jalen Hurts flip Lamar and Jaden in these. So we start CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, JSN. Shawn, who are your kind of highest exposure players in the early rounds of your main events that you've done so far? Bowers?
They have some Bowers, have some pretty fun teams with that kind of, Bucky and Jonathan Taylor, or, Chase Brown and Jonathan Taylor. When Ben and I were doing the really early ones, we got a JSN at the end of 3, which is a little bit, less unusual, but we had Chase Brown at the end of 3. Given where he's going now, you feel like you just got an extra second round pick, basically, when it works out like that. And then I've been taking actually quite a few of these QBs, which again, maybe kind of a hubris based approach, but maximizing the starting lineup. This is something that JJ and I talked a little bit about on his show the other day. It's certainly not the only way to do it. It is a little bit more of a fragile way to do it. But I think we're kind of back into a season, and we talk about, winning the season that's in front of you as opposed to chasing what's happened in the past. And that's very difficult, right? Chasing what's happened and winning the next season. Sometimes there's a very fine line. There's overlap. Sometimes you do it the opposite direction of what you intended. I do think we're kind of back in that direction, though. And certainly in FFPC, when people talk about the starting lineup and getting those elite tight ends, it's sort of weird with all the Bowers emphasis, but I guess I just wouldn't be surprised. And in some ways, I think that Trey McBride, I mean, you can't really say that he's massively undervalued where he's going, but I mean, he's a smash pick where he's going, and probably should be jumping some more guys there.
Yeah, Pat, our draft slots have not been favorable for Trey McBride.
No.
Like we haven't had a crack at him.
We haven't had a crack at him, no. And like here, I like Nico Collins a lot, but I wouldn't hesitate there. I'm taking Trey McBride over him. I think, McCaffrey's, he actually does have that upside there where, you could see him returning to the 2023 form and just crushing. But to me, in this format, McBride, he's got this mix of like safety and such high upside.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think next week we're drafting with Crack Rock a week from tonight, and we have the 12 spot with him. So maybe we could get a faller there. I think with Gretsch tomorrow, we are the 7 slot. I would have to double check that, but like, I'm pretty sure we didn't have a single 8, 9, 10, or 11 in our like 8 main event drafts this year, which is pretty crazy, especially the year it's the, top 17 players or whatnot. To not be able to have 2 cracks at those is a bit of a bummer.
I know.
But we will make do on this side of the board. We start Lamb, Achane, JSN. Since we've picked Kyron, Hurts, Jackson, Omarion, Hampton, Evans, Cook, Teteroya, McMillan, and Garrett Wilson round out the 3rd round. Xavier Worthy comes off the board at the start of the 4th. Jaden Daniels there, and then TreyVeon Henderson to the Trey McBride, Drake London, James Cook drafter. Kenneth Walker off the board. What do you start thinking about, Shawn, in this range of the board?
Yeah, so I was a bit surprised that Henderson lasted there. There was a split second where I was like, maybe, but obviously he's not going to come back. I wanted to throw out really quickly. I'm always try to be pretty conservative in terms of listening to the reports and not overdoing it in terms of chasing them. But the joint practices that the Cardinals had the previous week supposedly every time they threw to Trey McBride, it was success. And every time they tried to throw to Marvin Harrison, it was a failure. That doesn't mean that these guys are going to be massively far apart in 2025, but it was another piece to indicate that the problems they were having last year of getting to Harrison versus, the success with McBride, that at least in some of the practices, those are continuing forward.
And that's a drop for Hill. I looked up to see if Hill got hurt or something.
Yeah, people are just spooked. Yeah, he goes 4-5 here. People are getting really, really worried about him. But yeah, the Marvin Harrison, he's definitely a slider here as well. The running backs available, Kamara, Brees, Devontae. But Pat, did you have thoughts on the Marvin Harrison year 2 setup?
Yeah, I mean, the overall situation there is not ideal, and that they didn't really move him around much last year. It wasn't very creative usage. Overall, I don't think he had this hugely disappointing season. It was just disappointing to our expectations, but it was much better than Rome Odunze's rookie season, for example. I wish there was more training camp buzz, but I don't know. For me, he was such a good prospect that, getting the year 2 bet at a huge discount to the rookie season bet, I've still been in, but it's kind of just I'm betting the talent profile basically from the rookie or from the prospect profile, and then a rookie season that wasn't great, but in line with other guys who've gone on to be stars. So I probably would be Harrison here, but if that's not who you're into, I like Pickens here. He's probably the most fun.
I haven't
Harvey.
been a bit. Pickens is a little tough with Lamb. I feel
with Lamb, you're right.
Shawn, what do you think? Have you been in on Harrison at this price? I mean, it seems like a fair price.
It does. This makes it a little bit tougher. I guess one of the reasons I clicked on JSN is that when I have our tool up looking at the last 3 days of Big Gorilla and Main Event, Harvey doesn't come back. And I was kind of trying to keep that path open to taking a running back here. Is that not?
I'd be happy to go with Harvey here. I don't have any issues with Harvey.
Especially, the 2v2s on the running back, wide receiver versus wide receiver running back here we probably end up just going wide receiver anyways if we passed on Harvey here.
Yeah, Harvey, I've never really got why Harvey hasn't risen. This is probably more true on Underdog, where he's available at the 5-6 still, but his preseason usage has been pretty exciting. And he's generated a ton of buzz in training camp as well. It's not Henderson looks awesome, but I guess I haven't understood why there also isn't enthusiasm for the training camp that Harvey's put together.
Yeah. I think that part of that is J.K. Dobbins, and that people think that he's going to have a big role. But the pass catching element that just completely dried up for top running backs last year. You have a chance to get that. Both of the guys that we drafted to start here have the potential to give us something unique compared to most top backs. Maybe they don't go that way anymore, but even looking at the preseason games, they're throwing to the backs. It looks like the Broncos, unlike the Patriots. Now, the Patriots are interesting. They could go either direction. It'd be shocking at this point when you see how deep their receiving group is as well. It would be shocking if the Broncos don't score and score and score, which is, Harvey, you've got the electric profile. He's incredibly athletic. He's going to catch passes and they're going to score. Yeah, it doesn't track for me either. He should be more expensive.
Yeah, in his ADP, I believe of 51. So we get him just right before ADP. I was looking at the RotoVid Command Center, who does the probabilities on available next pick, and it had it sub 50% that Harvey would come back there. So I don't think he would, especially after Kamara comes off to the board. So we start CeeDee Lamb, Achane, JSN, RJ Harvey, our top 4, and then we'll be set up here to select again in round 5. DK Metcalf comes off the board. Shawn, if we had gone, say, Jefferson there, would you have been tilted to Pickens, or would you still have kind of preferred Harvey in that case?
Probably still Harvey, but Pickens would have also been a really easy selection. He's not going to come back. he could score a bunch of long touchdowns. He had a bunch of long passes last year that didn't go for touchdowns. You expect that to probably change just somewhat randomly, but also in this better setup with the Cowboys. Pickens would have been hard to pass on if we had gone Jefferson at 104.
Who are you eyeing here?
We are on the clock. McLaurin and Ridley come off the board. So you're looking at, J-Mo, Devontae Smith, Hunter.
Hunter would be
Metcalf.
the other guy. I like Flowers too. Those would be the 4 guys that would be highest for me. Jameson, Devontae, Flowers, Hunter. I guess you could throw out Waddle too.
I like getting the explosive team exposure here. The only other name I was going to mention, Sam Laporta. We don't have the tight end. With what he did as a rookie, what he did in the second half of last year, and probably kind of being that kind of tight end, a little bit like George Kittle, where when he's down because things weren't perfect, you grab him. When he's more expensive, you kind of let it go. For me, it'd be probably Laporta or Jameson Williams.
Laporta's actually the highest in my rankings, but I don't know. For some reason, I don't find him as fun, but I'm good with both those guys.
Let's do a Laporta team. Let's get a tight end share here. I feel like we're going to generally be pretty polarized in that we're either elite tight end or like kind of punt crank purple. So getting a Laporta or Hawkinson share sounds appetizing.
Pat, you mentioned the highest guy in your rankings. Hawkinson for me is also kind of in the mix here, but after he goes, I think there's a massive tier break. There is someone in Tyler Warren who is compelling and maybe ends up being the guy. But with that exception, once you get past Hawkinson, I think everybody else is at a huge disadvantage at this tight end position. I almost clicked Jameson Williams there before Pete said Laporta because he is more fun. But I do think this probably sets us up better to win.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like I have Laporta like 7 spots higher in my ranks than Jameson Williams, but I kind of wanted us to click Jameson Williams there. My truth serum take is about how Jameson Williams being overpriced doesn't matter because he's gonna hit. So I've got up to the point where I want the Jameson Williams exposure, but I think we have 2 teams with Jameson Williams now, and so I like having the Laporta pick here. I mean, he was so awesome as a rookie, kind of falls back down last year, but new offensive coordinator, maybe he kind of is revived a bit this season, and he's a really talented player. His blocking is also supposed to be like even better this year, which is it's just very important for the Lions because they run so much play action. Led the league last year.
It does look like we have some people in the chat that aren't aware this is tight end premium. If you're watching where tight end prices go on other sites, Sam Laporta's FFPC ADP is 56. We took him at pick 52. So slightly ahead of ADP, but apparently we started a tight end run because Travis Kelce came off the board 1 pick later, which that makes the Laporta pick look a lot nicer with Kelce.
Well, especially Sean saying there's a massive tier break after Laporta and Hawkinson, and then Kelce goes 1 pick after. So we caught the last of that tier for sure.
Last season, the touchdowns, the before and after the catch, especially after the catch, very dynamic, even though the overall scoring was down. Everything continued to support this idea that his talent level is utterly elite.
Yeah.
Laporta? Yeah. I'm with you.
How much, Sean, how much like impact are you factoring in, or do you think it'll be, no impact on Ben Johnson leaving? Or do you think it's just such a, Death Star that they can just keep trucking along like normal?
I think it's a risk. And anytime you have a risk, that's potentially problematic. The early reviews out of Chicago, they look good. I mean, I was making the joke that I don't think they could have done as well against air as what they did against the Bills backups the other night. But the practice reports have been terrible. Right. And so you kind of have to balance those different things. I think the head coach for the Lions is kind of the guy, get enough credit. And then, as you mentioned, when you have those weapons, it does set you up a little bit for, Ben Johnson to underperform. And he very smartly, I think, went out and was like, what I should do is add a bunch of weapons to Chicago as well. So it's almost impossible to fail with how much talent I have around me.
Fix the offensive line in free agency, draft pass catchers with your first 2 picks. sounds like a pretty good plan.
Are you, Sean, are you buying the Isaac Tesla buzz? I know he was, I don't think you were high on him as a prospect, but he's someone that I feel like is on my timeline every day.
No, you go back and look, and for late round picks, and they actually just take him that late. But I mean, you need to either have a massive production profile or you need to be this freak athlete. And still, you mostly don't hit, but those things do help. I was very skeptical. He's in all those practice reports, very skeptical. Watched that most recent preseason game. He's running good routes at his size. He's changing direction. He's boxing guys out. He's going up for touchdowns. I mean, he's still blocked, right? He can't possibly make a difference this season, but it does change your mind a little bit where you're like, the college situation probably just destroyed him. Maybe it wasn't on him.
Yeah. For the, I know we got some new people to the site tonight. So we're drafting in the FFPC main event. It is tight end premium. The scoring settings, the roster settings, quarterback, you start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then it's a double flex. So you can start up to 3 tight ends, 4 wide receivers, 4 running backs. You do have a place kicker and a defense. And then, of course, the bench, it is full point PPR and the half point PPR, 1.5 points for the tight ends. There is another format with a lower buy-in called the Big Gorilla that I know, Sean, you've drafted some teams in this year. Have you noticed, are there any major differences between kind of that format and kind of where guys are going in the main event, or are things pretty parallel right now?
You have to pull up the 2 ADPs and compare them side by side. The main event is either a little bit tighter or it's a little more fun, where the guys who are probably about to be very trendy do tend to go a little bit earlier at this higher price level.
Yeah, people here just don't, respect is the wrong word because I kind of agree with it, but the ADP does not like drive decisions for people here. Like if a guy's rising, people are going to get their guy.
Ourselves included if you tuned in on Tuesday night.
Right. Which, I feel good about the JCM thing. Yeah, great. I'm great.
I know. It felt like a meme at the time, but I actually went back and looked at the roster today and I was like, this is a good team. It was a good team you guys drafted. You were just having so much fun drafting it that it seemed off the rails.
Right. Exactly. Which is a good place to be.
We're about to be on the clock again in the 6th. Some of the wide receivers we've come off the board: Devontae Smith, J-Mo, Waddle, Hunter, Igbuka, Sutton, Pearsall, Zay Flowers, Tyler Warren, and Hawkinson also off the board. So again, getting Laporta there before that run is pretty nice. I feel like I know a guy that Sean loves that you're higher on than anyone I ever see on this player. Is Jerry Jeudy on the menu for you? Are there other guys you're eyeing here?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Zay Flowers situation there, that was a little surprising. I mean, Travis Hunter's ADP is actually not that high, and so I thought there was a slight chance that he might come through. Obviously, that didn't happen. This is the area here. Again, you can't ever complain about having a high pick. You love to have those high picks, but not only do you run into a little bit of a buzzsaw, or just, when you're in the 2-3 turn back of that, you don't get a second first round pick like you arguably do. Although Achane's one of the people from that group, so arguably we did.
I guess today we did, yeah.
Yeah. This part of the draft, the 6-7, is, unless you think Jerry Jeudy is 2 rounds undervalued, in which case you're like, oh, he came to us, this is the easiest pick in fantasy. Other than that, there aren't a lot of options here that at least appeal to me personally.
Are you out on Matthew Golden?
No, I am not. I do still somewhat prefer playing it through the veteran, even though you're going to have to wait on him.
I see.
Yeah.
His ADP here is in the kind of late 7. Obviously, he's rising. This is just from the last 3 days. So this is post the weekend. I think that we could take Jeudy and push him.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it. Pat, I know you in your series, you've been writing up these guys. I actually just read your Jeudy piece, and it seemed like you kind of walked away with it with a similar takeaway as you did Olave, where you weren't quite as into it, but then after really digging in, you didn't want to be at such a hard fade.
Yeah, although I think Olave is better. I don't I think, Sean, you must be quite a bit higher on Jeudy as a prospect, or not prospect at this point, a player than I am. I think he's good, but I don't think like his career at no point. I was digging into the first read stuff for this series, and the only time that he's ever been like installed as a team's like clear cut number one was as a rookie when Sutton tore his ACL in week 1, and he was like the only option. Sutton comes back, kind of retakes the number 1 spot from Jeudy. The team moves on from Jeudy. He trailed Njoku in the first read stuff last year, trailed him in targets per route run. Obviously, Njoku gets more underneath stuff. Njoku was also really bad last year, so there's no reason for that to continue. But on the other hand, he was amazing with Jameis Winston. He was at like 21, 22 PPR points per game in that run. It was crazy. But the volume was out of hand. You know, the volume will decline this year from that. But I came away thinking, you know, it'll decline, but there'll still be a lot. He's going to get a ton of targets. So I don't want to have this like huge fade stance. I'm happy to get a main event share, especially with his main believer. I mean, this is the right guy to share a Jeudy team with. But ultimately, like in my own stuff in best ball, I'm a lot more comfortable with Olave, who I think is better. I just think Olave is a better player.
The situation I would say with Jeudy is that when you go back through and you can break it out in our AYA app, you can break it out a lot of different ways, but see that his quarterback play has been so unfathomably bad that what he's done throughout his career is actually pretty impressive. Obviously he was a fantastic prospect, should argue drafted even earlier. He's a guy who's been an air yards guy. That's helpful. He's a guy who is dynamic after the catch. That part is helpful. I'm a weird believer in the Browns offense. I don't think the team will be good, but I think they're going to move the ball. And I think they're going to move the ball behind multiple QBs. And so from that perspective, Ben, Pat, you said the volume will decline, which, like you said, it's obviously going to decline, but it's going to be high, which is the part
it's still going to be high. Yeah.
Meaningful. Yeah, when you have someone who potentially is good.
Yeah. Well, what about Olave?
And Olave comes all the way back here, which is definitely an ADP slide. Yeah, what do you guys think there?
I'd be happy to take Olave. I think he's a good player. Also going to have some volume there.
Yeah, it'd be Olave or Addison for me, probably.
Yeah, Addison would be way ahead of ADP, but probably not coming back. He's an absolute superstar. And so if you're thinking a little bit later in the season, that pick is fun. But Olave tactically right here makes a lot of sense. I guess I'm on the flip side with the Saints, where it's going to be an unmitigated disaster. At the same time, an unmitigated disaster where, maybe you lead the league in passes, even though your quarterbacks are the worst in history. You get a lot of potential volume to a guy who, he was good before some of the issues. He's a massive injury risk.
He is a massive injury risk.
Injuries happen.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll let Pat go long on Olave, but I do think it is fun in that there's going to be a lot of like volatile, slow start rookies that now become particularly attractive for this team. When you do the Reed and the Addison or a Rashi slide here, it does start to make that a little hard to get off to a good start. So I think we'll have some fun with some high upside rookie selections down the road.
Yeah, I don't know what the Saints trading for Devon Vele and giving it. Did they give up a 4th and a 7th? Is that
4th and a 7th?
That's crazy. Yeah. But in a way, it almost made me think like, I guess they think they can do something, because why would you give up future picks for Devon Vele if you weren't planning to pass the ball at least a little bit? So, Kellen Moore was showing these dudes clips of the Indiana Pacers, showing like we want to play with this kind of pace. There's been some signals that they're not planning to roll over and die. That they're gonna and Kellen Moore has been really high volume at 2 different stops. He had a ton of volume with passing volume with the Cowboys and then with the Chargers. And then last year, obviously, they literally ran it half the time. It was extremely low volume, but about as different a situation as you can get from the Eagles to the Saints. So if they have any chance of winning any games, they're going to have to throw it. They're going to be behind a lot. And yeah, Olave you want to talk about bad quarterback play. Like Derek Carr is obviously not, as bad as Jeudy has had. But
please be nice. What you're saying about my co-host here coming up.
Yeah, and he's certainly better than the guys they have now. But it's Olave has been able to be very consistent, very efficient in every season he's been in the league so far. And he hasn't scored touchdowns. I think if Olave had scored touchdowns, I think we'd be viewing him kind of differently. I think that's a big part of it, to be honest, is that like his efficiency through three seasons has been awesome, above 2 yards per hour in every single year. He's in a rare group of rookies, rare group of young receivers to have done that. It includes like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp. It's like superstars on superstars. So he probably just gets destroyed by the situation this year. But I just decided I'm going to kind of take the chance on a player who's just been so consistent at the beginning of his career.
There you go. Zach says, forgot how much I missed watching Pete trying to decipher where Shawn is landing as the clock nears zero. I mean, when we were drafting on Best Ball Breakfast, I was the one clicking it. So I was having to decipher and get the click in. This is actually a walk in the park because Shawn's actually pressing the buttons tonight. So I get to just try to figure out where he's going to go. But I know I'm in good hands. Shawn's going to press that button.
We haven't timed out yet.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you would allow that kind of blood on your hands. Now, I might allow that as we're, trying to juggle a million different things, but I know you got it under control. The team so far, CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, JSN, RJ Harvey, Sam Laporta, come back and grab Jerry Jeudy and Olave. Since we picked Jacoby Debo and Juwan Jennings come off the board, as does Evan Ingram, Tucker Kraft, Chris Godwin. The chat seems to be eyeing Team 8 tonight. Mysteriously named Just Bill. I wonder where they got that name. Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, Omarion Hampton, Tyreek Hill in the 4th, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, not Ricky Person, and then Evan Ingram in the 7th there.
It's early for Godwin, isn't it? With where he's been going recently?
Yeah, but there's the news today that he's not going to be on PUP. And so I think people are getting a little more excited that it might just be like a 4 to 5 week thing. Than a bigger thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but this is almost like it's going to be a 1 to 2 week thing if you're taking him at this price, I think.
Yeah, what are you doing with the Bucs, Shawn?
Well, for a while, I was just avoiding everybody. Thought it was going to be a big traffic jam. And I mean, you go and look at the collegiate metrics for Emeka Egbuka, and they don't line up with what people are saying. But at a certain point, just like with JCM, like the people who are seeing him play now, why would you doubt? I mean, 1 or 2 people you can doubt. You can't doubt literally hundreds of people watching him play and say he's the greatest thing ever. I mean, it's just got to be him, right? I mean, he's going to be their wide receiver 1.
I've been surprised that you're not a little bit more into Egbuka. His profile's not perfect by any means, but he profiles as kind of a target earning guy, who can play inside and out, which is a really nice NFL profile, kind of one of those profiles where a guy can end up being a better pro than college player. And he had a really good sophomore year. He had 27% dominator rating, 2.81 yards per team attempt. And he shared the field, obviously, with just incredible talent the whole way. Like even this past year, So he's a prospect. I think definitely you have to squint a little bit. It's not like the cleanest prospect profile I've ever seen, but I do think some of his college metrics are at least like pretty intriguing.
One of the things I'm hoping to see that continues to pop in the research that I've been doing on the college prospects is just that ability with the ball in hands. This could just be simply an SIS thing where you work with different services, they don't all see everything exactly the same, and nobody's perfect, right? But their evasion numbers for him are super low. You contrast it with someone like Tetral McMillan, who doesn't exactly have that advertised about him, but his evasion number is really good for a big guy. I mean, he's someone else that the 304 actually had meant to mention as someone who could pull way up.
I would have done
and
it.
Just take it already.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that worry me a little bit. But then everybody's like, he's a running back once he catches the ball. I'm like, okay, it doesn't show up, but if that's what he is right now, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the problem too. I mean, on that side of the board, you mentioned Tetaroa, you get access to Xavier Worthy, Egbuka on that side. It's hard. Even Jordan Addison falls all the way to the team 8 here as well in the middle of the 8. So it's tough getting shut out on some of the fun fallers.
Yeah, I thought maybe Addison might get back once he had fallen that far.
Yeah. So Caleb Johnson comes off the board. Some of the other names, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Diggs, Charbonnet, Mason. So we're starting to see some running backs come off. Tyrone Tracy, and we are about to be on deck here. Some running back names here. Patrick Mahomes is kicking around. Sean, what are you seeing on the board? Patrick Mahomes does go. We're on the clock.
I mean, you don't like to think of taking a super late round running back in JCM and then also hearing someone else is going to be the goal line guy, someone else is going to be the receiving guy. You still have uncertainty. I mean, he's probably the running back name despite all of that, even though some other interesting guys have fallen. Jaylen Warren is here. I think that his price is tricky, but right here, it's okay. I guess Jaden Reed for me, once that we get the 4 other wide receivers and we can wait, that just seems like too perfect an opportunity. Since we did pass on the elite QB, that kind of opens up that play. But
where you want on Burden? Because I like him. We could push him, but it would be like maybe a reason to go running back if you're into him and try to push the receiver. But I'm fine with Reed if you want him.
Which running back do you prefer, Pat?
I'm good with JCM or Warren.
Let's do Warren and then push this one here, and then we can decide. In the
I'm so bullish on Harvey that I'm like, what's even the point of Warren? But I could see a starting Warren plenty.
Yeah,
I just have to, stop being wildly optimistic, which isn't fun.
So we grab Warren there. Yeah, the wide receivers, I liked both of those options. I mean, Burden is there most of the time. This would be very, very high for him. And you got a ton of coverage with other players, other wide receivers people like in this range. I don't know. Maybe I still just have like, I don't know, sticker shock. And we have a ton of JCM at really nice prices that it's just like a little hard for me to take him over some of the guys in this range.
I like getting the faller there with Warren. I don't think that the situation is great. I just think he's going to outscore Caleb Johnson, but I think the situation is bad for both of them. So,
well, this is a team that does not care about situation, because we just took the Cleveland Browns wide receiver 1, the New Orleans Saints wide receiver 1, and the Pittsburgh Steelers running back 1. We're betting on good players on bad teams can still get the job done.
We may have drafted the 2 receivers who play on the teams that throw the most passes in the entire NFL.
Yeah. So. What about that?
Exactly. And I think Jaylen Warren is going to catch a few balls himself in negative game scripts.
Yeah. We'll see if Arthur Smith's willing to let Aaron Rodgers drop back. Aaron Rodgers is going to be audibling. He's going to have like his drop back rate will be 60% audibles.
Yeah. So I think we are down to the Saints, right? The Saints are the one team who has not announced their week 1 starting quarterback. Every other team we know who's starting week 1. So
I think that's strategic to keep their opponent off balance. Is that why?
Yeah. To keep themselves off balance.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to still be trying to figure out who they could trade for to be the starter.
Come on. Yeah. Like, how do they not have Cousins? If they're trading picks for anything, how is it not for Kirk Cousins? Devon Bailey?
Cousins is back, is the report.
The Broncos try to hang up, we're not trading Bo Nix, and they go, no. We're interested in Bailey. And they're like, oh, really? Let's talk a little while. Oh, man.
There's JCM.
There he goes. One whole double taps, Dobbins and Bill. and we'll see what comes back to us. Our team here, we got the 3 running backs, Achane, Harvey, and Warren. We got the 4 wide receivers, Lamb, JSN, Jeudy, and Olave. And then we have Laporta here at tight end. I'm definitely good with either Reed or Burden here. I like both those guys.
Me too.
A lot.
I'm very, very happy to get either guy.
So I have a bunch of shares of Burden in the late 10, early 11. And even the last couple of days, I mean, I was in a draft earlier today where he went super early, but he's like 1104. I mean, we wouldn't pass on him in round 10. It'd be probably tough to talk about him and then still get him even in 10. But this would be early.
I mean, he's not a starter, right? He's not currently starting. So let's grab Reed and see.
Yeah, I like that. And if you're in this draft room, just know he's Burden is playing behind Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yeah, he couldn't pass him, dude. He couldn't pass him in camp.
I think he's probably not passing him till like week 15, which is after the league playoffs in FFPC. So probably not much utility there.
Yeah, tell the people about the fast start element here, Pete. I think it's pretty important and often underrated.
Yeah, from our experience, getting in a 0-4, 1-5 type hole really kind of curbs your upside in making money in these. So yeah, you can't take those selections in the night they're out.
There's even a toilet bowl, which you make, if you score really well, but not well enough to make. And you don't really get anything that good. It's just pain mostly that you get to see how good it reminds you of that you maybe could have won the main event.
Yeah,
if you had just started a little faster. So,
Shawn,
we were so high in the toilet bowl rankings 2 weeks of the playoffs 2 years ago. I just kept looking at him like, man, just switch that team into the sprint and it's right there.
That's right. Shawn, what do you, Jason talking about that it'd be pretty funny if Brian Robinson doesn't get traded and is just the starting running back all year at this point? Like, do you think we're at the point of no return as far as Brian Robinson as a contributor on the Commanders, or do you still see paths where this gets resolved and it's kind of back to what we thought it was going to be like 3 weeks ago?
No, I mean, it seems like we're way past that. I mean, they've been foreshadowing this all off season to the point where, despite the craziness of like the last running back drafted, who frankly doesn't have a profile, it was a legitimately good pick the entire off season because of what the Commanders kept putting out there. And yet, I mean, if I've learned anything, it's don't trust the last thing that came out and don't trust your own logic, because NFL teams will do some squirrely stuff.
Yeah, I don't think this has gotten to the point where they're gonna cut him if they don't get anything done in a trade. But it sounds like they are gonna get something done in a trade. So I would put it at like basically 0% that he plays for this team. Maybe give it a 1, give it a little oneer, but he's not gonna be there. I would to the point where I'm like, I'm taking more Eckler in best ball. That's how confident I am.
It's so funny because all of the reporting around the Chiefs adding a running back and what that means for Brashard Smith. And I look at Brian Robinson and I'm like, he's better than everybody they have on their team. The Chiefs don't have to pick and choose in terms of which running back they want to replace. Get an entirely new depth chart if that's what you're going for right now.
The Chiefs just keep trying to bring in like worse and worse versions of every player they have. They're like, now let's get 90% Isaiah Pacheco, and then let's get 80% Kareem Hunt, and then 70% Eli Mitchell, and we'll just have a Russian nesting doll of these types of running backs.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really like it goes back to the Eagles, because Hunt was almost kind of worse LaShawn McCoy, and then you get my favorite was Darrell Williams just being worse Damian Williams. That was a pretty good bit.
Man, they have really gone through so many running backs during this Mahomes era. It is, and I always, when I hear Shawn reference the passing of Jonathan Taylor in that draft, I just hear the disgusted anger in your voice.
That was a potential franchise-changing move.
And they can argue, look, we went to all these Super Bowls. We traded Tyreek Hill. We went to all these Super Bowls. And they're right. And I keep thinking that because of that, I'm going to get over it. But every time I think about it, I realize, like, no. I mean, I'm going to be 95 years old telling my, great-grandnephews that the Chiefs once had this draft pick where they passed on Jonathan Taylor for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and then won 10 Super Bowls, and it still didn't matter because that was the only thing I cared about.
I love that this is your let's get you back to bed moment. Talking about Jonathan Taylor 40 years ago.
My goodness. So we add Reed as our 5th wide receiver. Braylon Allen, the only other running back to go since we picked Cooper Kupp, Josh Downs. Teammate, still just rocking the 1 running back. Hampton, they come and grab their 2nd tight end, Jake Ferguson. Kincaid off the board. Bo Nix here to the Sutton drafter. Now's where we get to have some fun. The kind of relatively easy decisions are gone, and now we got to roll up our sleeves and get to work in the back half of this draft.
Shawn, while they're figuring out this pick here, can you share some of the Jordan Addison enthusiasm? Because I like him, but I guess I wouldn't consider him to be like a star. So can you get me excited?
Yeah, when you look at his numbers there, playing with bad quarterbacks and Justin Jefferson, like some of the yardage elements, the per play elements don't pop. But when you think about the environment, you think about what he was as a college guy. One of the things that just, you look at the time student, he shows up on, fastest ball carrier types of things. He's much faster than people realize. He's someone who can draw targets at every single level. He's a guy who is tracking to be that Calvin Ridley behind Julio Jones. Now, for him, he's more blocked because Justin Jefferson is just going to be the best receiver in the NFL for a decade. But that touchdown scoring and his ability to get behind the defense, it's so valuable. Blair is constantly doing research, kind of pointing us in the direction of make sure you chase the expected, make sure you yes, that you're going to have those touchdowns every season, but they do lead to more volume. That's the thing that we saw in the second half of last year, where at a certain point, Sam Darnold kept missing it every time that he was open. And it did seem like the early season ankle injury got him off to a vaguely slow start. He did seem shaken, and maybe I'm just adding some narrative on. The narrative doesn't really matter whether or not he was shaken a bit by his off the field behavior and how both bad he felt and then what he knew that was going to mean in terms of consequences. But in the second half of last season, and then even you watch the early playoff game there where he's wide open like the first 3 plays and draws those targets. He's good, and he doesn't have the size. He's not going to be able to pass Justin Jefferson. Nobody would be able to. But I just think as the number 2, he's even better than T. Higgins. He's even better than Jamison Williams. And the scoring situation there in that dome, in a division where we expect there to be some shootouts, with that head coach, I think that's a situation even more than T. Higgins where I would be chasing the potential efficiency of the number 2 guy.
I like the Calvin Ridley comp for sure. Because they were talking about, I was listening to, I think it was Jordan Rodriguez mentioning some of the ways that they are using those guys, and that Justin Jefferson was actually saying that on some of the quick game stuff, Jordan Addison is better than he is. And so you do have a little bit of the element where you can get him, like get the ball in his hands, which was a core part of the Ridley breakout. But then he's also, he's a really good downfield threat.
Shawn, is there a distinction? I know you like Addison in all formats, but is there a better and best ball element for you, or is it just something where you're kind of willing to deal with the down weeks, even in managed, just because we know he can have those just massive spikes that win you your matchup?
Well, the volume got to be so good in the second half of last season, and then the final game obviously disappoints. And then you're back to, well, is that more indicative? Was this super hot stretch something that really is going to be an outlier and never show up again? I think for me, I prefer it in redraft simply because where he's going, you can weather it. In best ball, obviously, you have to take those zeros or just take the fact that you have a guy who's in the middle of your draft who's not going to be able to contribute at the beginning. And certainly, hopefully, it never would happen. But you think about being able to put him into that starting lineup every week in the case of a teammate injury. The other thing with him is you get this potential J.J. McCarthy breakout. I don't really expect that, but there's such a wide range of outcomes that if McCarthy is fantastic, we're going to be wishing we drafted all 3 of these guys much earlier.
Nice. Yeah. And I feel like that's true for so many of the situations too, where it's like, if Jordan Love is fantastic, you're going to want all the love and Reed, or sorry. Yeah. Golden and Reed, etc. All right. If you love something like Luther Burden, let him go. And if he comes back like he did, is that the click here?
No, he didn't come back. Else? He's gone.
Oh, sorry. I missed him. I didn't see him. The chat little thing I had.
I'm kind of running the podium on Bashal Tootin here.
I'm good with Tootin. Always good with Tootin. What do you see, Sean?
Oh, I was going to try and make the case that the biggest upside play that we could possibly make, and that maybe it's been the biggest upside play for multiple rounds, is Bashal Tootin. And then you guys were like, let's just draft him. So I'm like, oh, here we go.
Okay. I was like, when you started it, that I was like, oh man, I guess I just kind of steamrolled Sean. He had a guy, but he's deferring.
That's what I thought too. I was like, oh, you have somebody else.
Yeah, but you took the guy, very considerate, and now you're going to make the case for someone that we can take next. But it's Tootin. Let's go. Can you make the case though? Because I want to feel good about our pick.
Well, you dive into all of his metrics, right? And I think that because of the combine, people think that he maybe wasn't that good last year, but his per play stuff was off the charts, his evasion off the charts, yards after contact off the charts. He's a smaller guy with a track background, and you're like, okay, well, maybe it's evasion stuff where he forced some missed tackles against defenders that don't hold up to what he's going to see in the NFL. And then suddenly, no, his evasion is skewed to broken tackles, not forced missed tackles. Then you watch him play in the preseason, and this isn't even necessarily good, but he's taking every opportunity to square people up and try and lay them out. And he looks bigger. Like his arms are bulging out of his uniform. This is a guy with 4.32 speed who breaks big plays all the time, over 2 catches a game in the college. I mean, this is Jamal
Have you been
Charles.
zooming in on these practice photos, Sean?
Keep going, Sean. Keep going, man. This is my highest drafted player.
That's right.
I think we're going to look back and be like, the greatest player in fantasy football history is Tank Bigsby because he provided camouflage for Bashal Tootin. Or maybe he's just good, in which case we're looking back in a month and we're like, oh, you know who they told us it was going to be Bigsby, and it is. So
bad.
We'll see.
And I will never forget that, because something about Tank and camouflage will easily be entwined in my head forever. It does, like a lot of the tunes.
Camouflage is good.
I know. It does remind me a little bit of the Xavier Worthy stuff, as far as like how he was treated as a prospect, where people wanted to pigeonhole him into a speedster and kind of overlook that production and that early breakout he had. And it kind of is like similar with Tootin, where it was just like, oh, he's just this combine guy or whatever. And then you look at like him being a workhorse at VTech and some of the numbers.
Who did it remind you of?
Xavier Worthy.
How he
got pigeonholed as like just an athletic dude and not someone who actually had a really intriguing young production profile. That
is an interesting comp. Yeah, because I mean, people don't. The production profile for Tootin is awesome. I mean, he also was one of the backfield dominators for Blair as well. I mean, he just totally handled all the, and it's like, oh, he's small. It's like, well, he was an entire backfield. Does that change anything for you? And he's not tiny. You know, he's way bigger than like Bucky Irving or Kyron. Like he's got 10 pounds on those guys. And yeah, he's a super versatile guy, really good as a receiver, breaks a ton of tackles. It's a lot to like.
So we're about to pick here again. Is the thought to keep pushing quarterback? I know one running back you like, Sean, that I don't think we've taken yet is Trey Benson. He's kind of interesting here. What are you guys seeing?
Trey Benson, he's one of the guys where I think if he played for almost any other team, he'd be buzzier, but people don't care about the Cardinals. There is some risk there. The Browns want a running back. Maybe that would hurt Sampson. I mean, Sampson is a good pick here, regardless of whoever else is there. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is a fun stash with the team being loaded. Can take a QB, lots of different possibilities.
I like the running backs probably the most, Benson and Sampson.
Sean, you pick your favorite of Benson and Sampson. I wouldn't mind just continuing to push QB.
You have some cover at quarterback, I think.
I want Sean's preference. Trey Benson it is. You know, Sean, he's got to get one Cardinal on the team there. You and all your different fandoms. It's like trying to keep up with Davis Maddock and all of his favorite teams. I'm like, oh yeah, you got the Cardinals, you got the Lions connection, you got the Chiefs. It's hard for me to keep track of them all.
It is fun, and I'm proud of Davis for also being in that category. Yeah, these are the kind of the three places that I've lived. So I'm taking teams from hometowns.
Yeah, we need a Kansas City Chief. Maybe we'll be able to make that happen at some point. Here's the team. CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, JSN, RJ Harvey, Sam Laporta, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Olave, Jalen Warren, Jaden Reed, and then we come back and grab a couple of running backs in 10 and 11 in Bayshell Tootin and Trey Benson. This is a very fun team. Where do you guys think, if we had passed on Laporta and gone another position, where do you think we would have snagged a tight end, assuming we would have taken one that's already off the board? Do you guys see a juncture or one you would have been interested in?
Not really. Which makes Laporta a pretty awesome pick, because he was like, it was very much a kind of coin flip. Yeah, we could do Laporta, do the receiver, but I don't see another spot where I'm like I really don't. Like who? Like maybe we go Andrews or something, but I don't really want to do that in the 6th. So yeah,
Would have been like Ingram or Loveland or Kraft at 7-4.
Loveland at 7-4 probably is the move that we do.
Sean, people were actually asking earlier when you were kind of talking about the tight ends, the tier break. You did mention Tyler Warren, but I did notice a few people were wondering your Colston Loveland stance, because it seems like that was an omission, an intentional omission there when you were talking about those guys.
And that one has more risk to it, I think, in that Loveland is probably everything that the per play stuff suggests, but especially in an offense where they came out in that preseason game, they throw him a couple of passes, but you also see Cole Kmet down the middle of the field there, vertical reception. Cole Kmet a couple of years ago was a fantastic tight end. You know, you think Luther Burden eventually is actually going to be the guy, and yet there's also DJ Moore, there's also Roma Dunze, and there's the potential for Caleb Williams to just be terrible. The reports on him have been so bad, which I think is heartbreaking, in that, I mean, he's maybe the most clear-cut, fun second-year breakout type of, you know, option. And maybe I go ahead and recommend him a little bit more later. I mean, he's one of these guys where he's had terrible practice reports in a couple of rounds, like, you know what we should do? Is take Caleb Williams. But yeah, there's just so much congestion there.
It's gotten a little bit better recently, hasn't it, for Williams? I thought that it had been, you know, it had been bad early.
I mean, they're at the point now where they're like, they're sometimes getting plays off. And he looked fantastic in the preseason game. So hopefully that does carry over. But I think the Williams thesis is so much based on the weapons. And if you have that many weapons, then it kind of cuts back against Loveland.
Right.
So after we take Benson, we have seen quite the string of running back selections. Mims did go immediately following, but then we got Ramondre, Garendo, Dylan Sampson, Austin Eckler, Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, Tajay Spears. And this is kind of the dynamic we were talking about at the top of the stream, where in these rounds 10 and 11, in what, like a week or two as well, like this could all be pushed up another full round, depending on, you know, how stuff shakes out and people kind of tripping over themselves to get the running back. So I feel pretty good the fact that we've been able to get 5 targets here through 11 rounds. And as Theo noted in the chat as well, and kind of what we were talking about, the Laporta pick working out very well structurally. So Sean, really good call pushing us in that direction, because that could have gotten very dicey.
And it is tricky, I think, when you have those 2 superstar tight ends be so expensive, but it feels like there are going to be other paths you can take, but they're pretty limited if you want to be in the elite tight end ballpark. And for me, that's just as, if not, you know, much more expensive than getting that QB.
Yeah, for sure. I am now curious though, Sean, because you have teased a little bit. You're like, if I miss out on one of those elite quarterbacks, I am willing to push quarterback to the absolute max. And it is kind of crazy how deep quarterback goes and how even some viable options go undrafted in this format.
Well, I'm marking
This
off
format.
my rankings right now, and basically and these are main event rankings. Basically, it's just all red. All the guys left at the top of my rankings are quarterbacks. So, it depends what room you're in. Obviously, they're all way down from best ball, but yeah, I mean, you only need one of the. If you get one of the guys in this big tier here, you kind of only need one. You could take two, but
yeah, how do you think about
it?
that? Yeah, how do you think about that, Shawn? Because I see both cases, like Pat said, it's like the waiver wire are going to have options, so you can just take one, take another crack. On the other hand, if you are getting down to this range where you don't feel good necessarily about them being a locked and loaded every week starter, do you like playing the matchups? Platoon it with two guys.
Yeah, I have recommended taking 2, even 3 QBs if they fall late enough, which in this format, sometimes, like Pat was just saying, you get a whole group in free fall. You can put those guys together. You can look at some of the players like CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, who could be awesome, but probably won't be. But if they're awesome, then you go with them. You cut the other guy. If they're all decent, you can try and stream them. Those are viable options, and maybe more viable even a week from now as the fun running backs get more expensive. I do like pushing them and just trying to get all of those running back options. Again, it's kind of this thing where last year running back was so healthy that it seemed like depth didn't matter. And yet this year we have so many, they're almost pure handcuffs in a way, but handcuffs where if the starter went down, you'd be talking about a clear-cut low-end RB1.
For sure.
We do see Dak in Mayfield, even after all that combo. I'd have been like, Dak in the 12th on a CeeDee team, but this ripped around. So we're back on the clock here. Help me get my bearings, fellas. What do you see?
I would be either Kyler or Drake May here.
So we could go the quarterback route. Shawn, are there any skill position players you see here?
There are a couple of running backs. If we wanted to get them both, we could pull them up, but we probably don't need to. I think that QB play is smart because both of those guys have very, very high upside. I don't have a strong preference.
I don't either. So Pat, I'm happy for you to get your guy. I mean, we passed on Harrison already. Do we want to just get Drake May?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to have Drake May on this team. All
right, let's do it. Yeah, I was looking at the drafters behind us. There's the Josh Allen team, the Joe Burrow, and the Bo Nix. Not that you're 100% mark safe from them not taking a quarterback. But if there wasn't like a smash running back wide receiver, then I guess there's no point to pushing it.
Yeah, I feel great about how we play that. Where Benson has a ton of upside as that clear-cut handoff, and a guy that they're talking up as like, oh, they're going to be. We have 2 RB1s, they don't. Connor's their RB1, but I like that they're saying that they do, that tells you nice things about what would happen if Connor got hurt or even like banged up. Like maybe Connor is struggling through an injury and that opens the door. If they have a high opinion of Benson going into year 2, then he's live for that type of stuff where it's not, just Connor's out for the year with something.
Shawn, how do you think,
cool.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the cool pieces on that too, not that it necessarily makes a difference because the coach decides, but some of these guys are going to want the ball every time and want to be the clear-cut dude. And James Conner is just out there like, Trey Benson's going to play a bunch. We're going to lead the league in rushing. He needs to be the other guy with me. He's really good. If he weren't really good, maybe he'd be different, but he's really good.
Yeah. That's nice to hear too.
So we take our first QB, Drake May. We're going to pick again here on the wrap in the early 13th. Definitely, a couple interesting running back names. We're kind of in this really long flat tier as far as wide receivers. I was going to mention Hunter Henry. He's falling past ADP on a Drake May team, but he goes. What are you guys seeing?
I think we could talk about double tapping quarterback with like Purdy or Caleb Williams here. And I don't know, at that point it's probably like rookie wide receiver flyers. And then if there's any, or tight end, we could go to tight end here as well. Chiga Okonkwo is kind of an intriguing breakout candidate to me.
Shawn, talk us through what you like here, because it sounds like we're pretty wide open.
I would make the case that Derrick Henry is backed up by Chris Johnson. And
I thought you might go here.
Keaton Mitchell is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It would be very weird to get pushback. Like, no, let's do someone else after you just said he's the one of the best running backs of the NFL. So I think we have to add that person to our team. Let's do it. There we go. Yeah. So Shawn, how do you? So let's say, are there paths to any standalone value for Keaton as long as the big dog's healthy? If the big dog were out of the picture, are there concerns about a Justice Hill expanded role? Like, how do you think that through? I know you're very focused on just betting on the talent and everything else will work out, but I'm curious how you see that playing out in practice.
Yeah, you look at a couple years ago during that time period late in the season when Keaton Mitchell was breaking out before he gets hurt, and he had kind of jumped Hill at that point. Now, many things have happened since, but one of the things that the Ravens were talking up recently is how good that Mitchell is as a receiver, also how good he is as an interior runner. Some of these things are just coach speak to suggest to people this guy's going to have a role. He's pretty good, all of that. But it was super threatening, I thought, to Hill, and it was super encouraging for a situation where Henry goes down. The potential for him to simply break plays, it works a lot better in best ball, but he probably will emerge with a role in the same way that Will Shipley, who's also getting just fantastic reviews and is being used in the passing game a bunch, something we know probably doesn't carry over into the season. Will Shipley, also a fantastic athlete, but there's probably more a path for Keaton Mitchell, the way that the Ravens play it, to have some standalone value. Certainly it's just a thing where we're here in the 13th round and you're not counting on him to start that. I mean, he has top 10 upside. I mean, this is a guy who, on just a handful of carries, 47 carries, was one of the top players in the NFL years ago in runs of, I believe, 20 or 30 plus yards. And then you see that instantly again when he goes out there, and no one can stay with him. The other thing with Mitchell that's interesting is the evasion rate numbers. It's not just the long speed. I mean, he was a guy even going back to college who can make people miss, who can break some tackles, who runs hard. He's a fantastic running back.
He looks back, like, just, because he's one of those guys that just pops visually, in such an extreme way. And then in this preseason, it's like, yep, okay, looks like Keaton Mitchell again.
Yeah. He's very fun here. And you do see some of these other picks go. You mentioned Shipley. He comes off the board. Ollie Gordon goes as well. Shawn, how have you been playing the Dolphin stuff behind Achane right now? Obviously, Jalen Wright seems to be having kind of a rough preseason. Ollie Gordon kind of has a clear runway with Alexander Madison now out there. Is Gordon a target for you?
Gordon is fun. He's a guy, he couldn't have had a worse offseason, because as unathletic as he is, you didn't expect him to test as poorly as he tested, which was even worse than you could really have anticipated was possible. And then he gets out there on the field and he's good, right? Ollie Gordon, when he gets to the second level, is tough, and he's a receiving back, right? So when you're talking about Gordon, you're talking about a potential high value touch machine. Jalen Wright came in. He is fast. He's got all the tested athleticism. Some of the guys we brought on to the show a couple years ago onto OT were talking about how it's all Tennessee. He can't really see his vision. He's going to be good. And then he's another guy where, again, I don't think you want to go overboard with the practice reports, but he's supposedly been bad. And he's been bad in the preseason, which, he's running against a little bit better defenders than Gordon probably is, but he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yep. We start to see some of the onesies come off here in the 14th round. There was Trevor Lawrence, Mason Taylor, Isaiah Likely, Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy finally come off, as does Chiga Okonkwo. Here we are 2 picks away as Cade Otton comes off the board. So all quarterbacks and tight ends here in round 14. We're also seeing our first kicker. Brandon Aubrey went in the 13th. Our first defense just went here, Denver. And we are on deck here, and we are looking at a team right now with 1 quarterback, 6 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. What are we looking at here, fellas?
Well, I guess I'd be curious to hear more about if Shawn thinks the Browns are going to be able to support multiple weapons this year.
Is there a player for whom
Pat's really into Cedric Tillman?
Oh yeah, big Cedric Tillman guy, Shawn. Just a huge, his college profile. No, I this is about where I start to, ask if we can take Harold Fannin, who's resting with the starters, guys.
Shawn?
So I have really only, it cut out for a second there, but we've got, about 15. So I'm going to go ahead and make the click that I really want, assuming or hoping that I was hearing things correctly.
This is the best day of my life. Go ahead. No,
approach.
Hey, Shawn, I'm just going to need you to just hold that thought for 1 second.
He's duck-footed. He looks really weird when he runs.
If it walks like a duck.
Wasn't his run like compared to like a duck?
Pigeon-toed good, duck-footed bad.
There's trouble you call DW.
Duck-wing duck.
Maybe it's a duck.
He's losing like a round of draft capital because of the direction that his feet point. I'm taking the duck-footed discount. Would he be better if he wasn't duck-footed? Probably. But he just was half an offense. I'm pretty sure he can fucking move.
You're right. The running style is crazy. It's like Russell Wilson. It's not good.
Duck-wing duck.
Shawn, did you know we had a clip for Harold Fannin?
I think that I did, but participating in that was the highlight of my year as well. I mean, people were asking what would we have done if we had missed Sam Laporta. We just would have waited for Harold Fannin.
Let's go.
Oh my God. So wait, Shawn, were you seriously cutting out when Pat was talking about Harold Fannin, or was that just you playing into
Did you think I wanted Cedric Tillman?
So I hear the joke and then I hear silence for a bit and I'm like, I can just pretend it's Harold Fannin if it's not. The rule that I have for 2025 is whoever takes Harold Fannin wins that draft. And so now we're set. It doesn't really matter what the price is.
There you go.
Good.
I love it. Good. All right. So we add our tight end 2. I do like, if we're going to bet on Jerry Jeudy, let's bet on Harold Fannin. We're saying the quarterback play is going to be fine. Let's get Fannin here. Love it. We're about to pick in the 15th round here. Our team, Drake May, Achane, Harvey, Jalen Warren, Tootin, Benson, Mitchell at running back, CeeDee, JSN, Jeudy, Olave, Reed at wide receiver, Laporta, and Fannin at tight end. Do we swing over and take a stab on a wide receiver here?
Sure. I would also, I'd throw out Jordan Love with Reed as still being somewhat intriguing, but happy to go receiver. I don't even feel that strong about Love. I just want to mention it.
Yeah. I think just with how many quarterbacks are still there.
Yeah.
I do always like the stacking element, but I wouldn't mind. I don't know. Shawn, what do you see?
Yeah, I have gotten to the point in 2025 where I like to just really hammer all of these contingent plays at running back and assume that a 4 running back lineup at some point in the season may also be the way to play it. I like some Denver wide receivers though here and don't have strong preference on who it is. Draft some more Denver guys.
I wrote them up in the newsletter this morning. I'm very pro Bryant, very pro Franklin. Would love either one of them on this squad.
Yeah, I'm good with either of those guys. I think Bryant probably has a little bit more upside with the way Franklin's been used, but I loved Franklin as a prospect, so I'm happy with either.
Your dealer's choice, Pat Bryant, come on down there. And yeah, I think that's the way I think about it, where I'm like, I think the true upside is probably like Pat Bryant as like a guy you feel good about starting every single week. I think Franklin's maybe the better bet to get off to a faster start, just the way Sean Payton seems to kind of slow roll some of his rookies. So I think, kind of 6.5 dozen or the other there. Do you agree with that assessment, Sean, or do you think Franklin could be an every week starter, or that Pat Bryant could get off to a fast start?
It's so tough to tell. And I don't think that we can really, I think trying to parse the tea leaves too carefully with Denver probably gets us in the wrong place, or just, you can be wrong, right? They're sending out all of these weird Franklin was a guy who was a faller last year who shouldn't have fallen in the reality draft, and then he doesn't play very well. And everybody's like, oh, well, the NFL teams knew something. He has the long catch at the end of last season. He has lit it up during the entire offseason to the point where Sean Payton's like, I mean, it looks good, but let's wait until we see it on the field. Both of those guys, though, and Pat Bryant is probably the one player who was like 100% for me in rookie drafts. I'm 99% sure based on that Pat and I have him in our Rotoviz Triflex league. And we need to get some rhetoric out there so we can trade him for a high second, maybe 2 firsts.
Let's go. Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, I remember you were in on Bryant in the pre-draft process. Even he was one of those guys that I had not heard mentioned anywhere, until either it was right before the draft or after they drafted him. But I know he was on your radar even before. But even you didn't think he was going to go as high as he did, right?
No, and he's one of the players where you kind of have to make up a story because he's missing certain things that we really like. But the final season was good. And then as soon as they drafted him and start comparing him to Michael Thomas, I really thought there was a possibility that maybe he displaces Courtland Sutton. Now, obviously, that doesn't look plausible at all. But the Sutton price, I think, is one. It's certainly why. Courtland Sutton, where he's going, isn't a problem. But I do think that if Mims does anything, then Sutton is in trouble because Bryant and Franklin are both going to score. Then you have 3 guys who, I don't know. I've been pretty angry. Now, I know that Davis wanted, I think, the tackle. And it sounds like the Chiefs have maybe hit on the tackle. But I wanted TreyVeon Henderson so desperately for the Chiefs. And when you look at the team now that the Denver Broncos have built, and you look at the Chiefs, you can't bet against the team that goes to the Super Bowl every year. But the Broncos are slowly but surely putting themselves in a position to simply be the superior roster.
Yeah. I think I've read some reports too that there's a lot of NFL insiders feel similarly about the Broncos being a legit threat in the AFC West this year. After we take Bryant, Franklin does go a couple picks later, as does Dobbs, Dante Thornton. We see DJ Giddens, Jalen Wright, CJ Stroud, Kyle Monangai, and there Brashard Smith goes at the end of the 15th. So we have 5 more picks. Obviously, 2 of them are mandated kicker and defense, which leaves us with 3 skill position players left to play with.
Sean, can I ask you about DJ Giddens, who went off, and as you're kind of talking about some of the contingent plays, he would have been probably the next guy for me in that mold. Kind of like that we pivoted to receiver, but yeah, do you have any thoughts on him? Because he's a guy that feels to me like he's a little bit under the radar for people. He's now, I think, very likely to be the direct backup to Jonathan Taylor. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's got great peripherals. He caught a bunch of passes, and on those passes, he was extremely explosive. He didn't test with spectacular lateral agility, but you watch him play, and no one his size should move like that. Now, there are a lot of folks, and this must include a lot of NFL GMs, who felt like the vision wasn't there. And those mostly aren't the plays that I am looking at. But you hear all the time, oh, he broke this run, he broke that run, he's perfect for these stretch plays we're running. We want to see him keep doing it in practice. Big play, even though he's not that fast. Because he's a glider? Because he's fast, right? So everybody who's saying, surprised every time that he breaks this long run, DJ Giddens comps to a bunch of stars physically and did really impressive things the last couple of years for K-State. He's the most fun guy to watch. And I bring this up from time to time just because, I love Maurice Jones-Drew, and, why wouldn't you just give everybody the same kind of leeway to pick their guys, but he was way down on Omarion Hampton. He loved DJ Giddens. He was probably the only person who had a higher rating on DJ Giddens than I do. And Pat, the other thing you were saying, the reports out of Indianapolis are that the rest of their running backs are not NFL caliber. It would seem like he would be a 3-down workhorse if anything happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, I mean, I have a ton of him in best ball, and I think he's a great pick and managed too. He's a little bit maybe of like a roster clogger guy that you churn out the week before he hits, you know, it can you know, deal you a quite a dose of psychological pain that way. But he's I mean, you talk about the athleticism, like he ran a 4.43. He has a 9.78 RAS. He's 6 foot 212, 10 foot 10 inch broad jump, 39.5 inch vertical. Like, there's no reason to be surprised when he breaks runs. This is an elite athlete.
We are about to be back on the clock in the 16th. I mean, I'm definitely down to go with a quarterback here. I mean, some really nice options. Love and Goff are both still here as stacks. Also down for anything else you're seeing through the matrix.
Yeah, Goff with Laporta is pretty interesting too. I'd probably beat Goff, to be honest.
I'm pretty indifferent on that. I mean, the stack is there for both. What do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, let's say that the Lions are even better this year, that they move away from all of these, because I mean, David Montgomery is a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player. He plays really hard. There is a use for that, especially in something like football. But when he was hurt, the offense took another big step. And what they can do on that fast track. And the problem with Jared Goff is just all of these guys who are not hybrid QBs, it's easy to see them the same way. And then you have Jared Goff, who, like, if he could, like, he doesn't have the athleticism to run 50 yards the wrong direction and lose you all those points, which is nice, but he's going to give you 0 points in that part of the game. But the offense should just be so good. And if we're betting on Laporta along with the enthusiasm for Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra, one of the best players in the NFL, I mean, he can throw for the difference between him. Now, again, Baker Mayfield does that a little bit rushing, but I would be very confident that Jared Goff.
Just a little bit, though.
Well, yeah, it's also, I think we're all excited about the Patriots. It's still going to take them some time to find their sea legs, I think, with this offense and stuff. And we're going to have some weeks at the start of the season where the Patriots have like an 18.5 point team total and the Lions have like a 27.5 point team total, where it's going to feel good to have some like dome spot starts with Goff and shootouts for sure. All right, we're back on the clock here. The rookie wide receivers are going off. I mean, Shawn, I know you have one other rookie wide receiver you love. It would fulfill the final check mark of getting you a Kansas City Chief on this team. Is this the Jalen Royals pick?
I like Royals. If he doesn't get tackled by the kicker, he's long gone, right? But he did, which isn't perfect. The suspension, right, and how well he's played, it would be pretty surprising at this point if he doesn't have some games in there where he is very involved during the middle of the season. And if he plays well, you know, you start to, everyone always says, and it shows up in all of our stuff too, that Jalen Royals looks like Rashee Rice. Now Rashee Rice hit, you know, a 95th percentile outcome, but they seem to love him.
I'm sold.
Let's do it.
I think this was kind of the, you know, when we took those 4 wide receivers up top, we can take on, you know, Reed, slow start, most likely, and then taking 2 high upside rookies here that will likely take a little bit of time to develop, but it could work out very well in how the timing works out, in that like Royals would probably be a slow start guy regardless, but then it's like the second Rashee Rice's suspension actually hits, that's when they need to lean on him, which could coincide exactly when we're looking for a push, right when we're, you know, trying to inject some rookie upside into this lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun move. I mean, he is interesting because Rice had like this weird profile where he was like more of a downfield guy in college, and then they saw him differently. And it's kind of the same for Royals, where he was like screens and deep stuff, but they seem more into like him as, you know, a Rice kind of replacement type of guy. So it worked once. Why can't it work again?
There's on ADP Chasing a couple weeks ago, Davis was talking about a bet he made on Jalen Royals to win Rookie of the Year at 100-1, I believe is what he got it at. That short, I believe, is the most viewed short we've ever had on the channel, almost to 20,000 views. Very riled up in the way that only Davis could get people riled up, but it feels very good. I also should mention we completely missed it the other day. Was it yesterday? Tuesday was Davis's birthday. So on behalf of all of
happy birthday, Davis.
Ship Chasing Nation, happy birthday to Davis. I know he's on a little trip getaway this weekend, and he'll be back in the saddle with us for the Crack Rock draft next week. That also reminds me, though, tomorrow night, same time, 7 p.m., Pat, myself, and Gretch drafting a main event team like it's 2022 old school Ship Chasing style. That's going to be a ton of fun. 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We are on a main event roll. We did one with Ron Stewart last Thursday. The ADP Chasing guys did one on Monday. Shawn tonight. Gretch tomorrow. High stakes 5K league with Leone on Tuesday night. That one's 8 p.m. Eastern. And then the Crack Rock finale a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to keep the drafts rolling here, guys. We got one more non-kicker defense pick. Shawn, how you enjoying tonight's draft?
Not only is it so fun, I was thinking earlier today about the draft I did with you guys in the past, where we're about to start up, and Pat comes sliding into his chair and is drenched and is talking about the flood outside, where he is threatening to be submerged and drowned by what is happening out there on the street. One of my favorite memories. These drafts are so fun. The team is also, I think, pretty good.
That was wild. I had water pouring into the house back when I was in a garden level apartment. Garden level, but you're still going downstairs to get into your house. So a little, it's not quite garden level, is it? Anyway, the water pouring in from just heavy rains as I'm trying to stream a draft. That was wild.
Yeah, we have lots of memorable moments over there. Pat and I have had a lot of moments too when we used to do our very first slow main event draft. Like now it's more streamlined. We meet up on our computer, but we had times where I would make the pick. I was on Martha's Vineyard in a van talking to Pat. One year, Pat and I were together, like at Post Bars in Brooklyn, drafting Laviska Shenault, I think, at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And recording
that should have worked. That really should have worked. The vibes were so good.
Oh, man. Shawn, we have one more pick here. Two of the wide receivers I thought were pretty interesting along with Royals. Both of them went. A.D. Mitchell and Jalen Coker. Actually, the only two other wide receivers to go since we picked. What do we do with this last position? Or do we kind of jump the queue at kicker or defense?
Well, you look at where Brandon Aubrey is there, and you think about, it depends a little bit. Really the thesis is Jacksonville Jaguars related. But with the enthusiasm with Brian Thomas, the enthusiasm with Travis Hunter, the enthusiasm with Bashal Tutin, they have a kicker with a 70-yard leg.
Okay. I'm sold.
Do it. Are we talking Cam Little?
Cam Little there. It probably doesn't ever amount to anything, but we're already into the range where, it's kicker range. I drafted him a little bit earlier than this just to penalize Ben for a pick that I didn't agree with previously. The kicker points will add up if you hit on a guy who goes on a huge run. I think it's pretty fun. I like clicking this pick.
I think it's fun. I will note that Cam Little is actually starting to reach Brock Bowsian levels of ownership for us. I'm pretty sure we have 3 or 4 Cam Little shares now. So, man,
wow,
it's a lot of eggs to put in one rookie legs basket, I suppose.
We still have some other drafts. We can diversify our kickers a little bit going forward.
People want the kicker clip. I will say, Zach, and I'm working him to the bone on edits these days. He's finishing up the Best Ball Bros video for me. He did mention, I think it was when we took Cam Little last time, he's like, I need to make a Cam Little clip for you guys. And I was like, yes, you do. Unfortunately, I don't have that clip, but I can play for them the evergreen kicker chasing clip.
Kicker Chasing. It's the show where we chase the best kickers The kickers that help you win championships. The biggest legs, the breaking news. It's everything you've come to love and know. The time is now for Kicker Chasing. Let's get some fucking kickers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Different parts of that always crack me up. This time it was when the bass line kicks in, doing the just mirroring the. It's so ridiculous.
Yes. And unfortunately, the other kicker clip we had was actually made by your colleague, Shawn, Blair Andrews. Unfortunately, that kicker has, 1, been canceled and is 2, no longer in the league. So we will not be playing any more Justin
The
Tucker
ship
clips.
chasing curse is undefeated.
Yes. Yeah, even the ship chasing curse extends to Hall of Fame kickers. All right. Is this a look ahead defense play here, or do we grab our last skill position guy?
Actually looked at some defenses earlier today, just in case, and I decided that nobody had a matchup that I wanted to lean into. There were a couple in Arizona was the one. They went ahead of us. Kansas City, Dallas. The kicker clip made me want to draft Jake Elliott and go back to back there.
Can I throw out Jatavian Sanders? I wouldn't mind taking a look at Jatavian this year. Any thoughts there?
I'm good with that.
I've got him many places. Think he's going to be awesome. He's a perfect pick for this. Jaylin Lane is the other non-defense that I would mention.
I mean, I haven't taken Lane. I've started to hear some murmurs about Jaylin Lane. I'm down to follow you into the wilderness.
I'm good with either guy.
Yeah, your call. Not a hard enough sell for talk to me about Jaylin Lane though, because I have heard you and Gretch mention him. Obviously a pretty wide open depth chart there in Washington, but what do we need to know about this guy?
So they obviously should have taken Jalen Royals, but they were really captivated by the athleticism that Lane offers. And he's a freak athlete, the ability to change direction, the ability to run after the catch. Now, there's much more overlap with Deebo Samuel, who is there, than Terry McLaurin, who isn't there. But you think about the fit in that offense and how he would work as a guy who takes, basically screen passes and other short things of that nature, and then runs. I mean, Jaden Daniels is going to lift these guys, and not only was he the perfect original pick for the team, but now you're missing Terry McLaurin, and he's the hype guy in their camp. Because of his profile, because of where he was drafted, because I think people do assume that things will generally work out, he doesn't get picked. But he's the most glaring omission, I think, among sort of all players. And so the reason I still clicked on Jatavian Sanders there is that despite really sabotaging what they wanted to do in preseason week 2 by letting that ball bounce off of his chest and up into the air there, he's the other breakout guy. And having that tight end at this price in this format is just very, very valuable. Maybe you move off of him just next week, but that's the piece that just has more leverage for you, could potentially make more difference.
Nice.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're probably going to run a committee, but that's one of the spots where I could see Sanders, having like 75% of the routes there this year, and that would make a really big difference for him. Like that alone would be kind of like a breakout, where he's just out there enough where, he's like immediately outscoring a bunch of tight ends that went in like round 14.
It's pretty good. He was one of my favorite prospects last season, and the lack of athleticism really killed him, because we do know that athleticism is important at that position. And yet the production, he was a really highly ranked recruit. He goes into Texas as an athlete. He puts up numbers in the same range as all of those receivers that generated so much hype. The yards per target on some key elements of the field for him were extremely high. He's one of those guys where I just don't think he tests well, but is much more athletic than that. And then he was on a run last season when he got hurt. If he doesn't get hurt as he's hot, there's absolutely no way that he is still sitting here. And I mean, Bryce Young is kind of the guy that talk about how one of these drafts I took Bryce Young and Cam Ward as the two QBs.
Love it.
Neither of them.
There it is. Okay, I was wondering what the plan was if we took.
I
Cam
knew it
Ward
had
and
to
then
be
our
Bryce
quarterback.
Young as part of it.
Cam Ward has upside. I don't know that I really believe in him, but I do believe that if he's good, he could be very fun because he's an aggressive guy.
Do you like Io Manor enough to think that, or any of their other guys to think they could just get enough around him? Sometimes it doesn't matter, but I mean, if he had one other meaningful player to catch passes from him, he would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't think I like Io Manor enough. He was one of these dudes where, like, I talked to Eric Froton around, March, and I was like, what about this guy? He's kind of popping in some stuff for me. He's like, no. Like, he's not. And then, he kind of does the weekly props. Like, he's dialed in on this stuff. And, then he falls in the draft, and he has like an intriguing camp, I guess, but doesn't, week one, he's going to play fewer snaps than Van Jefferson. So that's not great. And so, yeah, he's probably not elevating anything. And so, yeah, the weapons would be the concern. Like, Tyler Lockett's going to play a lot for this team. I wish the weapons were better for sure.
All right. It sounds like
there's someone else who's on Pat's and my dynasty team. If you want to pay more for him than we paid.
Sorry, I forgot to talk up our bag there.
Sean's more interested in trying to sell high on Io Manor than figure out what defense we need to select here in 2 picks. That's how much we care about that. Let's see. Are there any of the free look teams available here?
Dallas for us. You can always just look at it, and then when they score 0, take some player before it starts.
That's fine. That's one of the contract situations I'm not sure gets worked out. I think they may have just screwed that up with Parsons.
Let's see here. Looking at a few options. No one wants to take the Bills versus Lamar week 1. What about Niners versus Darnold week 1?
Yeah.
Open to other ideas. This is about the extent of my defensive research so far.
Well, we can throw Dallas back, right? So after we see him, can we, or do we have to pick up another defense before the waiver run?
No, we should be able to. I always get it confused, even though I check it constantly. It should be fine. It should be fine.
We will have a waiver run to make moves.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
All 3 of the teams left have already taken a defense. San Francisco is interesting because they have the Saints in week 2. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, we do not have any clips to roll for the Dallas Cowboys defense for people looking for a big crescendo to end this stream. We're gonna it's gonna go out like that. All right, we did it, guys. Let's take a look here at the team. We'll start at the top. We finished with 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 7 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, a kicker, and a defense. We started out with CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, JSN, RJ Harvey, Sam Laporta, who ended up being the structural pick we really needed here in round 5. Jerry Jeudy and Olave back-to-back. Jalen Warren came back and got Jaden Reed. Then Bashal Tootin, Trey Benson, Drake May, Keaton Mitchell. We rolled the clip with Mr. Duck-Footed Harold Fannin. Then Pat Bryant, Jared Goff as our QB2, Jalen Royals, got to get a Chief on here, Cam Big Leg Little, Jatavian Sanders, and Dallas defense. Sean, final review of the Island squad drafted here on Thursday, August 21st.
Yeah, this is exactly what I hoped we would get. To have Achane come all the way back, I was kind of thinking it would end up being Jonathan Taylor. You get that mix of wide receiver, running back, and tight end. That sets you up so perfectly because then you have the 4 receivers to start in week 1 once you add Jeudy, and Olave, but you also have the higher ceiling of Jaden Reed that you can wait on when you get to that point. And then as we continue to move through, we do take a couple of receivers, we add that out, but we're set up to start the season with receivers in the flex, potentially finish the season with running backs in the flex, Bashal Tootin, Trey Benson. Hopefully Derrick Henry stays healthy, but you have that Keaton Mitchell wild card. Harold Fannin probably going to be the wide receiver, 6 or 7 after Sam Laporta. So maybe we have 2 of the top 8 guys. The only thing that I look at here is that there were a couple of running backs I liked that went between the Pat Bryant and the Jared Goff pick. But I don't know if we would have gotten either of the Broncos receivers to come back. I mean, this is the perfect balance. They're the fun guys. These are the players I was hoping to draft with you. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Sean just said that Harold Fannin was going to be the wide receiver 6 or 7. You probably meant the tight end 6 or 7, but I'm just going to go with what you actually said. That Harold Fannin is going to be scoring like the wide receiver 6 or 7 this year. By far the best 2 moments of this draft for me were when we couldn't really communicate about Harold Fannin, but that is who we both wanted. And then we didn't even have to talk about Bashal Tootin. 1 second passed before we made the click. Those were both peak chip chasing moments for me.
I will say the chat loves this team. Imwald wants to buy a stake of it. MT Mr. Revolt here says beautiful team. Yeah, just glancing on it on the team level thing here. Definitely one of those teams that like locked and loaded starting lineup that can get off to a really fast start, put up a ton of points early, but then just packed with upside on the bench there. Even if you get just 1 or 2 of these guys to hit, you're going to be sitting pretty there. So Sean, always so fun drafting with you. Your ability to kind of see ahead there. I don't think either Pat and I would have pulled the trigger on Laporta there on our own, and it would have gotten us into a little bit of trouble, I think. So just a blast drafting with you again.
Thanks so much for having me, fellas. Now I'm thinking just Fannin, and we would have an additional wide receiver.
You're out on the Laporta pick?
Yeah. There you go. That's true. Yeah, we could have just done that. I will say, if you want more Sean content, or you were upset with how many early running backs we drafted, check out the Deposit Kingdom channel. I posted earlier today a draft Sean and I recorded on Monday where we went extreme 0 RB. Sean kind of alluded to it earlier, but we were able to catch the bill price before it went supernova there, and resulted in just a super, super fun team. So check that out on the Deposit Kingdom channel. Also notice that Sean's second part of the 0 RB countdown list is out now. So you got the top 10, and I think even actually 11, because there's a bonus pick snuck in there as well. Obviously has the priority targets article up as well. Basically anything you would need right now if you were wanting to hop into drafts. Did I miss anything, Sean, that people should check out right now?
Well, the big redraft home league strategies will be up. Probably not before the weekend, but it'll be up next week for everyone drafting in their huge drafts the following weekend. Blair has a couple of fantastic pieces up on how to beat wide receiver, how to beat running back. We're having such a good time with all of those over there, and appreciate, again, always so much you guys' support. But yes, 0 RB part 3 should come out middle day tomorrow.
Awesome. Pat, you've been churning out articles. If they want to go get hyped on Chris Olave and Jerry Jeudy, or semi-hyped, they can check out that series. What else do they need to look out for?
Yeah, if you want to get hyped about the running backs going in rounds 1 through 2, I've got an article coming out for you very soon. I've been very busy because I've been traveling back and forth from the future, looking at how these running backs have legendary seasons. Just wrote up Derrick Henry. It's going to be bad for us guys. He's the legendary season. It's painful
Still
for
there.
us. Genty just wrote up. Gibbs was very fun. Gibbs legendary. McCaffrey's legendary season I just got written up. So on tomorrow, I think is going to be my downer day, and I'm just going to write up all the silent killer scenarios tomorrow. So I'm hoping to get that out this weekend. We'll see. It's a long article. But yeah, that'll be out as soon as I can get it out.
Awesome. Like I said, tomorrow Same time as tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern with Ben Gretsch, another main event. Can't wait to draft with Ben. That will be a blast. And then the only other thing for me, I'm squeezing in a best ball breakfast tomorrow. I realized I have to pick up my pace if I'm going to try to stream all 150 drafts. So I'm going to do a special Friday edition best ball breakfast at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I think Eric Beimfor is going to join me for a draft or two as well. So that'll be Friday tomorrow, August 22nd, 10 a.m. Appreciate all you ship chasers hanging out in the chat. If you guys want to become YouTube members, hop in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. There's a link down below. It will unlock that special ship chasing channel in there. Always all kinds of good conversation, strategy, etc. taking place in there. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you to producer Nick in here. All of you chasers, we'll see you tomorrow night.